Matt McAllister here from RichmondSpiders.com, joined today by Richmond men's lacrosse head coach Dan Chemotti. Coach, thank you for joining me today.
Pleasure to be here, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Yep. So, the question is, how are you and your family adapting to this new normal?
We have a very strict schedule here at the Chemotti house. Right now, my wife Kim and I, we've got a 2-year-old and we've got one on the way, and she's got it down to the minute. Her calls and my calls and meetings. So we are literally handing off our 2-year-old like football. At times, sometimes he's right next to me on meetings watching cartoons. But it's where there's a silver lining in here, somewhere, and I think we're finding it. With the schedule that we have as coaches, it really gets crazy, and we lean on our better half quite a bit. And I wouldn't be able to do what I'm able to do without my wife's support, and to be able to lessen that burden for her to be able to spend some more time with my son is really a blessing. And we're trying to, again, take all the positives that we can out of this. So that is the new normal right now. This weekend, I'm tasked with building a playground out in the backyard, since we can't go to the neighborhood one until like June 10th. And I think that's going to ease the stress off of everybody. So we're figuring it out, but it is great to spend time with my son. It's great to have longer evenings with my wife, and just some good quality time. I definitely miss the guys and my assistant coaches and just the campus quite a bit, but there's silver linings in here if you look for them.
I'm sure it will not be a surprise to all your guys that there's a tight ship being run at the Chemotti household. I'm sure that would not be surprising to any of them.
It starts from the top. I'm the second rung down, in this house, that's for sure.
Maybe
the third, actually.
Yeah. When all this started, a few weeks ago, almost a month ago, when things started canceling at first, or they were talking about playing games with no fans, did you ever think that it would get to this point where the season was in jeopardy?
Gosh. So I've got a text chain with, some friends of mine, or some colleagues. And one of my mentors and a really close colleague of mine, he texted out that possibility, and it really, shook me. And this was, a week or two prior. And it really kind of surprised me. And he seems to always be right. So it was kind of he put it in the back of my mind, and I kept it in the back of my mind, and we were just moving forward, business as usual. And then it got real for me. I think it was the day before, when the Ivy League canceled, and then that evening the NBA canceled. That's when I looked at my wife and said, this might be our last game on Saturday. And sure enough, we didn't even get to Saturday to be able to play that game. How this came about without any warning was really like nothing. I'm sure, I'm not the only one, but anybody's ever seen. There's no warning, and then an abrupt stop really caused for just a lot of emotions.
And obviously, once the decision came down that spring seasons were being canceled, just talk about that meeting with the guys and having to talk about that and break that news to them officially. I'm sure they all kind of had inklings at that point, but once that became real, that conversation that you had with their team.
Yeah. So it was Thursday. We were on spring break. Thursday the 12th. I want to say we were on spring break, and we were getting ready to play Bellarmine at home on Saturday. So we came into the office like a normal day, planned a regular practice, a practice that was going to help us prepare to play Bellarmine. And then Coach Hogan actually gets a text and says that the Patriot League is going to cancel their season. And then we decided, all right, well, we need a plan B. If the Patriot League cancels their season and others follow, there's no way we're going to go out there and have a preparatory practice. That would be wrong to do. So we decided, all right, well, in a pinch, we can always do an inter-squad scrimmage. So we go into our team meeting a couple hours later, and we do some film, or we really, I think we just put the film on hold, to be honest with you, and we just talked about the Ivy League, the Patriot League, what was going on, what we knew as coaches, and they knew as much as we did, to be honest. So it was really tough not being able to answer any questions. And we just we looked at each other and we said, well, if the NCAA or if Richmond or if this circumstance is going to take away opportunities to play, we can at least play one more time. So we chose 2 seniors to draft teams right on the spot. We picked teams and we went out and we played. And at this point, the Bellarmine game was still scheduled. At this point, I want to say practice was, around 2:30 in the afternoon or 3 o'clock, something of that nature. So we were still scheduled to play Bellarmine at this time. So we said, all right, we're going to play, but we still got a game on Saturday. Let's make sure, we maintain our approach and just the way we do things and this and that. And the guys went out, and I give them a lot of credit. They played really, really hard. One of my assistants comes up to me during the scrimmage. I think it was around the 4th quarter, maybe, still like the 4th quarter just started in the scrimmage. And he says, he's got one of those Apple Watches, so he gets a text from a buddy that says the NCAA just canceled all spring championships. And so that's when just my demeanor just changed, quite a bit then. And I basically spent the whole 4th quarter trying to think of something to say to the team. It was tough to be really involved in the scrimmage, knowing the conversation that was ahead of us. So the scrimmage ended. We gathered them up. They all took a knee right there on the turf at the 50-yard line. And I basically told them the season was over. And it took me a long time to get those words out, quite honestly. And I think they could just tell, that we learned some information during that scrimmage. And that was one of the tougher moments, if not the toughest moment that I've had in my 17 or 18 years of doing this, again, because it came without any warning, and it came so abruptly that there was just no time to prepare, and there are no magic words to tell your players in a situation like that. So the best thing we're able to do is just, we told them, there's no reason you have to leave the field, and you could stay here as long as you want. And guys, really, they did that. They were out there for a long time, and guys were hugging, and there were, a lot of tears and emotions, from the coaches as well. And it was really tough because, again, we didn't know what the future was going to look like. If the NCAA was going to take this into account, if our seniors were just done. It was really, really a challenging moment for the team and for myself personally as well.
And now that you guys have had, some time to digest and kind of, figure out a way to, interact while you're still they're at home and you're at home, how have you been able to, keep in touch, with the guys and the guys with coaches and with each other? How often are they able to kind of interact with you and each other?
Yeah, I'm sure they're interacting with each other quite a bit. It's interesting. I've had this conversation with, my assistant coaches. It's, we're looking for ways to interact with them more, but at the same time, I don't want to burden them in terms of, hey, coach is just scheduling meetings just to see your face because he misses you guys, which is the truth, I'm sure they have, some better things to do. They're still working academically. right now. And I trust my guys. They have a workout packet and a routine that I'm sure they're going through, even though it's, not mandatory, at the moment. So, I'm texting them here and there. We did a team meeting, via Zoom the other day. We've got individual meetings coming up next week. So I'll be able to spend more quality time one-on-one, with the guys and really dive into, certain things. But text, FaceTime, Zoom, has been the biggest thing. It's important for me that they know, how much that I miss them, and just being around them. But again, I'm not just going to confiscate their time just to remind them of that, so it's a close group. It's a really close group. That was one of the, reasons it was so tough, knowing that whatever happens, it's never going to be this exact group. We're going to have freshmen coming in. Some guys are going to go on and start their professional careers. So we're going to have to figure out the right way to, give these guys the closure that they deserve, when we're able to be back together as a group.
Now, in this time, you've started this, coaches through cancellation on social media. Kind of, you rallied with some of your other colleagues, coaching staffs at different schools to kind of still provide some coaching through social media to not only your players but young lacrosse players all across the country. Just talk about the importance of that and what you were really looking to get out of that.
So when all this stuff took place, I got really inspired. Matt, I'm not a big social media guy. I think my last tweet was in 2014. So I've needed a lot of help getting this thing started. But I was actually I saw some NBA guys. Okay, they were donating $100,000 or more to workers at their arena who are going to be out of work, and this and that. And that really inspired me. It's like, that was a really selfless thing to do. I wish I had $100,000 to donate or to help people out, but I texted our assistant coaches right away and I said, hey, what do you guys think of this idea? Let's get this started. I bounced the idea off of, a mentor of mine at Army, Coach Alberisi at Army. He helped me, brainstorm some ideas as well. And it just kind of took off from there. I was really appreciative of, I just used relationships I have in the game, just texting people, calling people, hey, this is something we're doing. Would you like to be a part of it? Everybody was really, really excited to be a part of it. So, we got a great response. And it was basically just, well, this is the time of the year when the lacrosse world gets college lacrosse almost daily. And with all this going on, it became the time where I felt like people were going to need lacrosse more than ever. And it's funny, my original idea was, hey, let's put this out to just coaches, and coaches can go on here and they can use it as professional development, this and that. And again, my wife, she looked at me and she said, you've got all these parents, with kids at home, you got to put stuff out there for the kids. And she was, spot on, as, per usual, so what we've been asking, all the programs who are involved, which is it's a tremendous group. It's some of the top coaches and programs in the country. And we're excited to roll out, these videos when their day comes. We just asked, each program to provide, one video for a coach, one video for a player, something, that the player can do, while they're following social distancing recommendations, et cetera, just in the backyard, here and there. So it's really taken off. We've gotten a great response from it. It's not the likes, the views, honestly are not important. They're not an important part of this. What's important is that, somebody, can go out there and find something useful. They can get their lacrosse fix, whether it's watching it, whether it's a coach watching a drill, learning, getting better, whether it's a player picking up a skill, going out in the backyard and working on that skill for 20, 30 minutes. those are the things that are most important, to us throughout this, and it's going well, and it's, we're going to do it all the way through Memorial Day, which is the exact, same length of the lacrosse season, and we're really hoping that people are enjoying it as much as we are.
And I think it's a great way to, for you guys to pay it forward into the lacrosse world in general, and the reaction has been very positive. Kind of ending it, Coach, just what message do you have for not only your student athletes, but Spider fans in general for Richmond lacrosse, as we're going through this tough time together?
I think that the most important message that I can deliver to my guys, which is, I think, is our staff, we've done our best to do this, is just to, remind, and not just my guys, but just Richmond student athletes in general, student athletes in the lacrosse world. There's an opportunity here. There is a silver lining, in this, somewhere to, really cherish the opportunities that you guys have, to spend this quality time, with your families. And as well, there's an opportunity to be a leader here, a leader in your household, a leader in your community, to really just make sure, you're following the recommendations, by, your state or your federal government, to make sure that you're keeping your family safe, you're keeping, loved ones safe, friends, family safe, et cetera. So I think that's, message we've tried to deliver to our guys. To Spider fans, we're going to be back. We're going to be stronger, than ever. And everybody's going through it. Everybody's, going to handle this situation a little differently, but, you learn when you're young, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And I think this is going to provide, not just myself, most importantly, our players and all student athletes across the country, just a tremendous appreciation for students, for the coaching staff. The opportunity is great, but it's even greater that we get to do it as a part of the University of Richmond. And it's such a special place that, we're going to be back. We can't wait to be back out there and get going. And we appreciate everybody's support during this time. And our hearts are out, go out to everybody who's, who knows somebody who's, struggling right now during this time. And we're here for you.